So, hello, benchmark assessment participants. I am going to walk through Roberto with you and show you how to analyze his miscues. First, you want to put a 1 in the error column where there is an error, and a 1 in the error column where there is self corrections. So, I've already done that. I've gone through page 1 and I've put 1 where Roberto's made errors and 1 where he has self corrected. So the first thing to notice is that you must be able to determine whether or not the error is a result of meaning, structure, or visual cues. And at that point, you can only analyze up to the point of the error. Your tooth will fall out, said Mom. Kate wiggle. So I'm asking myself the questions. Does that make sense? Kate wiggle. Yes. So I circle the M for meaning. Does it sound right? Kate wiggle. Yes. Are there any visual similarities? Yes. So I circle the M, the S, and the V. So I move down to my next column where there are self corrects. So, in order to analyze a self correct, we first must analyze why the student made the error. And a self correct is first an error. Then we hypothesize about what made the student return back to make the corrections. So, we look at Kate brushed her teeth, and so up to the point of and. Does that make sense? Yes. Does it sound right? Yes. Are there any visual similarities? No. So, what made Kate go back and correct herself? Kate brushed her teeth after. So, we see that there might be something that didn't look quite right to the student, and therefore we circle V because the student might have noticed that there were not enough letters to say and it might not have sounded right to the student. Kate brushed her teeth and. So we look at the next error. Kate brushed her teeth and brushed. Does that sound right? Yes, we circle the S. Does it make sense? Yes, we circle the M. Are there any visual similarities? Yes, there are visual similarities. So, what made it the student go back to change their answer? Kate brushed her teeth and brushed. So, our best guess is that it didn't sound right for the student. So, we circle the S syntactically. It didn't sound right. So, let's move to the next one. She wanted her teeth. So, does that make sense? Yes. Does it sound right? Yes. Are there any visual similarities? Yes. So, one thing that might have made this student go back and self correct is that she wanted her teeth might not have been structurally sounding right to the student because we're talking about the loose tooth. So, let's move to the next point of error. She wanted her teeth to can. Does that sound right? No. Does it make sense? No. Are there any visual similarities? Yes. And so, what possibly made the student go back is that meaning. They use meaning to say, to can does not make sense. So then we go down to the bottom and we total up our errors and our miscues. There is one error and there are 3 miscues. And then we go and look at the information that's used and we we circle one, two, three, three meaning three structural, three visual miscuing. And when we get to the self corrects, we circle one meaning, two structure, and one visual similarity. So that's page one of Roberto. So we're going to move to page two of Roberto. Kate had a loose tooth. The so does it make sense that you can start a sentence with the? Yes. Does it sound right? Yes. Are there any visual similarities? Yes. And some of you might argue this point, but the H and the E are visual similarities according to Fountas and Pinnell. So let's move to the next era. Kate had a loose tooth. The tooth was very little. So does that make sense? Yes. Does it sound right? Yes. Are there any visual similarities? Yes. So let's move to the next error. Kate played with her tooth and it didn't and. So Kate played with her tooth and. Does it make sense? So if a student didn't pay any attention to this punctuation, Kate played with her tooth and would make sense. Does it sound right? Yes, it will sound right. Are there any visual similarities? No. So Kate played with her tooth and it didn't. Does it make sense? Yes. Does it sound right? Yes. Are there any visual similarities? Yes. So let's move through. Don't play with your tooth, said Kate's mom. Eat your breakfast. I was. Does it make sense? Yes. Does it sound right? I was. Yes. Are there any visual similarities? Yes. So let's move to the next one. I was my tooth to can out. To can. Does it make sense? No. Does it sound right? No. Are there any visual similarities? Yes. And again, I have totaled up. There are 6 errors, no self corrects, 4 meaning, 5 structure, and 5 visual cues used as a way that the student is using this information to negotiate the text. So I'm going to pause the text and have you finish Roberto, and then I will post the result.